Faster than a speeding bullet.
I ran until my muscles burned and my veins pumped battery acid.
More powerful than a locomotive.
An idea is like a virus. Resilient. Highly contagious.
Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Betterhumanology podcast. My name is Jerred Moon, and with me is Talon Schwam. What's up, Talon?
What's up, Jerred?
Not much. Just doing a podcast with you, my man. And today, well, dang it, I almost forget every single time. The Betterhumanology podcast is brought to you by being a better human, and that's what we're here to do. We're trying to become better ourselves, and we want to take you along for the ride, along for the journey. We do that by having hash it out episodes where we bring you some science and talk about things you could add to your life, like today. We also do experiments where we talk about, things that can make you better. Like in our previous episode, we were talking about beet juice, how it actually made us both run faster. And then we also interview experts who might have some sort of interesting tidbit that could make you better. So that is the Betterhumanology podcast. And today, booyah.
The quick little booyah. Betterhumanology podcast. Booyah.
And today, like I mentioned, we're doing Hash It Out, which is slowly becoming my favorite type of episode. And is
all right.
Talon's favorite. It's just fun to kind of do some research and talk about some of these things and our own experiences. So today we're going to cover music, or should I say the lack of music, and audiobooks, 3 different things, while in the use of exercise and how they can make you better. We're going to cover things like how your strength can actually increase by listening to a certain type of music, things that you can apply that Navy SEALs do that will make you better and more efficient workouts when you're not listening to music. And then also we're going to break into another topic that's kind of new to both of us, and that's listening to audiobooks or podcasts while working out. So a lot of ground to cover, but I'm excited to do it. So let's start with the silence. Silence is golden. The no motivators workout. So have you ever done one of these? Have you worked out in silence, Talon? Is the main thing.
Yes, lots of times.
Yeah, I call it the no motivators workout for a lot of reasons, because I think if people get too wrapped up on the music, they don't really ever hear themselves think. So that is not a good thing, because your self-talk, it's, I think, reported on average that you talk to yourself constantly. Actually, it's 300 to 1,000 words every single minute you're talking to yourself, which is kind of crazy. Do you talk to yourself that much, Talon?
I don't know if I should admit how often I talk to myself on the show.
Let's hear it. You're probably running through words right now with me just talking.
Yeah. So did you say though that when you have no music that it increases the self-talk or decreases?
Well, increases.
Increases. See,
or should I say makes you more aware of the self-talk?
That's such opposite of what I would think, because I feel like
you think music would make you think more.
Music
talk to
makes
more.
me think self-talk more, I feel like, but
well,
I don't know. I mean, I would feel like I would call a silent workout like kind of a shitty workout. I don't do it. I try to do it as least often as possible.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people aren't fans of silence in their workouts. And honestly, when we hop into the next, we're talking about music and exercise next, there's a lot of science that backs that up. But the reason I always want to push people to do this silence, the no motivators workout, nothing to motivate you except for yourself, is to actually listen to that self-talk and see if it's positive, if it's negative. Like, so recall one of these workouts that you've done, Talon. Are you like beating yourself up when you're doing it, or are you hyping yourself up when you're doing it in silence?
Neither. Hopefully I'm not an outlier, but what I do in self-talk when I'm working out or going on a long run or whatever is I kind of let my mind wander. It's almost like what you do when you're doing one of those like box breathing or your yoga or something like that. You just kind of let your mind drift, and I feel like that keeps me almost pulled away from the workout, and I feel like since I'm not focusing on what I'm what I'm doing, then I work out that much harder, better, or faster. That's kind of so. I think self-talk can have a really positive kind of implication, I guess, on your workouts. But I don't know. I guess we'll talk about here in the next portion of the show that music might even have that much more positive of an impact.
So you just kind of let your mind off to the
I do.
races, and you're thinking constantly when you're working out when you have no music.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. And that works for you? That just like you said, it kind of pulls you away from the workout and helps you push it a little bit harder.
Yeah, it almost takes me to like a happy place, basically.
Very interesting. That's really cool because I interviewed an endurance athlete a while back because I was trying to get some tips on mental toughness because I was writing some articles back then, and I was like, all right, dude, what are your strategies? What do you do? Trying to ask him what it is, how can I recreate this? And he, similar to your response, but he's just like, I don't think of anything. Like, he can completely like clear his mind, almost like meditation or like a Zen state. Like he can just kind of clear his mind and just go. And he was a really fierce competitor, so that works for some people. I do know that a lot of people get stuck in their heads, and that was happening to Navy SEALs, and that's why they instituted a very simple mental training program that focused on 4 different things, and that was goal setting, like micro goal setting. So it's like, okay, just get to this next thing, make it the next hour, the next 30 minutes, micro goal setting. And then they had visualization, visualizing a win or success, and then self-talk, which is what we're kind of talking about. And the last one was arousal control, which we'll also hop into when we talk about music and exercise. But if they could control the self-talk to get it positive, they took their pass rates in Navy SEAL training from 25% to 33%. And that's one of the toughest physical training programs in the world. And they just made some simple little tiny changes. So I think if you can control that chatter, I mean, you are going to get ahead in your workouts. And I think everyone should listen to themselves and know who they are and what they say. Very interesting that your mind just kind of is off to the races and don't really... I'm a little jealous is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's very interesting that these Navy SEALs are getting trained on positivity, really. I think that could be a whole new show one of these days on how to think positively instead of negatively while you're working out and maybe self-deprecating, because I guess I just wouldn't automatically assume that Navy SEALs would have a problem with like negative self-talk. So,
well, especially,
interesting.
I think and this is me just like assuming things here, but I think maybe that driven personality maybe comes more along the line if they mess up or maybe if they're not the best or something.
Sure,
they're
yeah.
like,
okay,
wow, you really screwed that one up. And then once you get in that negative loop, there may be no coming back from it.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
what do you think about? Do you do self-talk? Do you do the blank mind? Do you wander? How does it work for you?
No, I'm not at the blank or wandering stage yet. I wish. I mean, I practice. I do silent workouts from time to time, and my self-talk is not normally like negative in a sense where I'm like, oh, come on, you can do this. But my brain will slowly start to try and talk myself out of things. Like, at least on like intensity level, it'll be like, you really don't, like it'll start like making excuses, be like, well, you have to do this workout after this workout, so you might as well just slow down a little bit right here. Like it starts making deals with myself, and I hate it because it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I always want to keep going fast. It's like, nah, you slow down. So it's kind of funny.
It's like an inner enemy, kind of, just
like
gnawing at you sometimes.
Yeah, I got the intense guy on one shoulder and the relaxed guy on another shoulder, and so that's kind of my personal self-talk, and just trying to get me to slow down or take it easy because something else is coming, or you don't want to, be blown out for the rest of the day or whatever. So that's kind of my guy goes from a logical perspective and tries to stop me, but I guess it's overall that's negative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that this is also, the silent workout is a dying trend. It's a dying fad. If you go to the gym, you're going to see about 90% of people have headphones on, and I bet most of those people are listening to music. So it doesn't happen as much anymore. When we were in the Air Force, you could listen to your music while you're taking the PT test, which I thought was absurd when we first started.
Yeah,
so
they didn't let that. For a while, they didn't allow.
No,
that. Yeah,
that's still. I guess it's probably still a fairly new thing in the last several years now. So
yeah, and And even if you go to like a Globo gym, even if you don't have your headphones in, they're blaring some sort of pop rock station or whatever that you don't even want to listen to, which makes it even worse.
That's true.
So I do want to challenge all the listeners out there who have never done a no motivator silence workout is to do that today or this week. Just pretty simple. Go to a quiet place and do a workout, even if it's just 100 burpees for time or 10 minutes, as many burpees as possible, something that's going to be intense. Listen to your self-talk. What happens when things get really crappy in that workout? What is your brain saying? And then see how you can control it, interject yourself, and get some positive self-talk in there.
Yep, just becoming aware of it is the first step. So I love that suggestion.
So moving on to music.
Ooh.
This is pretty interesting. So what kind of music do you listen to when you work out? All over the place?
I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts. No, I'm just kidding.
The Betterhumanology podcast?
Yes, the Betterhumanology podcast.
Perfect.
Over and over. Makes me better while I'm working out. No, I'm just, let's see. I listen to all kinds of stuff. I mean, honestly, I'm probably a little different than most people out there who probably listen to like the more, hyped up kind of maybe rap or dance music. I don't know what I listen to when they work out, but I listen to more like relaxing music. I know this is, even when I'm doing a more intense workout, I'm doing like a sprint or something like that, I still want some music that's going to like, I guess take me to where I'm talking about when I have my own self-talk, kind of take me to that wandering state, kind of you take my mind away from, what I'm doing. So I like more relaxing kind of, mellow
So you're
music.
talking like instrumental, electronic, what kind of soothing tunes are you jamming out to?
Yeah,
Is that
more
personal? Am I getting too personal for you?
more electronic, I guess. That's still mellow though, but I guess something that maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, it's not like an instrumental, like something that you listen to fall asleep, but it's something that's probably got like a consistent beat, but that's not like trying to get my heart. I guess my heart's already going, but it's not something that would get my blood rate higher just by listening to. Something that's really gonna lower everything and just make me feel at ease almost. And I guess I just take that at easeness and stick it in my head and just keep on trucking through my workouts.
And that's interesting because I do want to talk about the science a little bit, because the science kind of backs up what you're saying, depending on what type of workout you're doing. So there are like probably hundreds of studies I found on music and exercise and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the biggest point I wanted to bring up was increased performance from music came from actual physiological responses, meaning changes in heart rate, blood pressure, and stuff like that, as opposed to just psychological, like it mentally prepares you. Like it's actually doing stuff to your body when you listen to certain types of music that get you ready for exercise. So that was really interesting. But what you said specifically, they call sedative music, like chill music.
Right.
It will not increase your performance as far as, well, not in their studies, not saying your performance, but it reduces your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your rate of perceived effort. And so you don't feel like you're trying as hard, your heart rate's lower, your blood pressure is lower. So especially in endurance events, it's really good because you just feel a little more chill and you can go longer.
Right.
So
and that's what I'd prefer to work out doing is an endurance activity anyway. So
and then
fits for me.
Something I think, so I do short and intense, and you do more endurance stuff.
Right.
And the one of the studies I found backs up what happens to me too. So I probably listen to music 50% of the time that I work out. The other 50% I don't. But when I do, if it's a really hard workout, the music helps me at first, but then it pisses me off later. Like, I'll be like, get out of my ears. Like, I don't want to listen to you. Sometimes I rip my headphones off, depending on how long the workout was. And it sounds weird, right? I thought it was weird. But they actually did some studies on high intensity, and they said your rate of perceived effort, when you're first starting a high intensity workout, the music will help a ton, and your rate of perceived effort will be really low. But as time goes on, your rate of perceived effort is actually higher than it would be without music at all. So later in an intense workout, like 5 to 7 minutes into a really intense workout, music's just gonna, like I said, piss you off. It's gonna make you think that you're trying harder than you actually are. So pretty interesting stuff.
Wow. I really wonder why. Like, I wonder, does it make you become aware again of what you're doing because maybe you're going so intense that you just kind of lose that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what. That's why, like, sometimes it depends on the workout, whether or not I want to listen to music. But overall, of all those studies, they found music helps. Like, it actually improves, like, grip strength and other strength exercises by 21%.
Wow.
What else do I have? It's like 85 up to 85% max heart rate. It's going to help, and all sorts of stuff. So music obviously is going to help you, but they did say it depends on what kind of personality type you have. So that's something to keep in mind.
Well, I think it's interesting that you brought up that different types of music can do different things, because I think that, this is really a show about how music can affect your exercise and your workouts, but I feel like music probably helps people do all kinds of things, like, when they're cleaning their house, or they're writing a paper, or painting a mural, or just trying to fall asleep. I feel like music can help in so many other ways. I know I mentioned it when we went on the Hotter Than Hell 100-mile bike race. I mentioned how music, I felt like, really, really helped our spirits and helped us. I think we were going faster during that time.
Yeah, or at least we felt like we were. But
yeah,
I completely agree with you. I don't know if you've ever seen what is it, like, people with Alzheimer's. They play them music from their era. Like,
yep.
You have seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, and then they're doing like a brain scan, whatever, and all sorts of different areas. Their brain lights up. They get happy. So there's definitely, like, a huge connection just between the human being and music. It's like we're musical creatures. Like, it has some sort of different level than most any other realm. So
it's the last bit of memories that people with Alzheimer's will lose, is the music that they've listened to in their life.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Cool that they can keep it. Does music help you do anything in particular?
Yeah, like cleaning house. I mean, I listen to music when I mow the yard. I feel like it does the exact same thing. I listen to the same music basically no matter what I'm doing. It's always that kind of chill, mellow music, and I think it probably just keeps me in that state where I'm just, happy and satisfied and taken away from whatever I'm doing, I guess.
Maybe you'd be more high-strung like me if you didn't have your mellow music.
Maybe.
Just take it away from you for a week. I do know that I developed the habit in college of studying to instrumental music.
Right.
And
classics, right?
Yeah, well, like anything that doesn't have words, like, I could grow accustomed to. And now, like, I almost can't study or do something without it. Like, we're even working on my computer now. I'll have something going on in the background that is kind of like mindless, that keeps me going. So I that's helped me a ton. But as far as mowing the grass, whatnot, I have not found music helps me there, but audiobooks. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but audiobooks help me a ton when I'm doing stuff I don't like doing. Like, I guess we could go ahead and talk about audiobooks in all honesty. If I'm driving in traffic and I get stuck in traffic, I'm like 90% less likely to get pissed off if I'm listening to an audiobook. Or if I'm doing the dishes, like, I don't care that I'm doing the dishes if I'm listening to an audiobook. If I'm cutting grass, audiobooks, because I guess I feel like I'm doing something productive with my time on top of doing something productive, that it just kind of calms me down. I don't think about what I'm doing anymore. I just kind of do it, especially those, like, a mindless task. It helps a ton.
Like, you're killing two birds with one stone because you get to learn while you're knocking whatever you're doing out.
Yeah, because, I mean, you're stuck in traffic. That's literally a waste of your life. There's nothing else to being stuck in traffic.
Don't get me started.
But, I mean, like,
if you're driving through traffic right now, we love you and feel sorry.
Hey, you're doing something productive. Maybe we're teaching you at least one thing you didn't know.
Sure.
But
think about it that way.
Traffic is awful, and if I'm just sitting there in silence or to music, I feel like, wow, what a waste of my life. But if I'm listening to an audiobook or, even a podcast, I feel much better about I don't feel like I'm wasting my time anymore. I feel like it's being used wisely, at least.
Yeah, the first time I started listening to audiobooks while doing things was last summer. And so I basically, and I mentioned mowing the yard, that's what I did. Is I started listening to this book, and I mowed the yard all summer. and knocked out. It was an Isaac Asimov book, I think. Really interesting. So it was of course a fiction book. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, like what you listen to or what type. Or I know we talked about what type of music we listen to matters earlier, but that just brings in all kinds of questions. Like like you said with studying, does the classical music help increase your intellect? Like the other music helps increase your performance physically. So I think there's all kinds of questions out there for what these things can do for you. And I don't know, I just felt like audiobooks had the same kind of effect as that music really had on me. Maybe because it's the type of book, I don't know, but it just, I don't know if it helped my performance of mowing the lawn any, but it definitely helped, I guess, my psyche while I was doing it. I didn't feel like such a chore. So,
well, you bring up 2 points, or jog my memory of 2 points. You said classical music, which is the point I didn't bring up the music, but they did 500-meter row sprints and found that people's best times were when they were listening to Beethoven's Seventh Symphony during the fast tempo portions of that. And then they tried the same 500-meter time trial with the slower portion of Beethoven's Seventh Symphony, and people still got faster. They just weren't as fast as the fast tempo stuff.
So maybe there are certain songs or certain types of music that give the most performance increase.
Yeah, with the 500-meter row, Beethoven was up there. Another song they did was the Rocky theme in 60-meter dash, but that's a really quick workout. And that's more of like pre-task stuff. They said that you could, like, if you listen to music before a workout or before an event, this isn't specific to music, it can like prime your mind for doing said event. Almost like Pavlov's dogs, I guess. Getting conditioned to do something if it becomes a habit. Listening to this music before you, or maybe an audiobook. Maybe you cut the grass so many times during an audiobook. When you fire up an audiobook, you smell fresh grass or something, something
I
crazy.
start feeding for just pushing the
your hands
mower.
start moving, or you start doing the lawnmower dance, or you start cranking it, or whatever.
Yeah, my hands start shaking. I need to mow the lawn soon.
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting about the audiobooks thing is I started trying to work out listening to audiobooks based off of General Stan McChrystal's advice, not to me specifically. I heard him talk about it on a podcast, and he said that he doesn't like to waste any time. And while he didn't think working out was a waste of time, he wasn't finding enough time to read, and he found a way. He does really intense workouts. He found a way to maintain his intensity, but while listening to an audiobook and still pay attention to it. He said it takes a decent amount of training, but you can get there. And so far, I have not been able to get there. Like, I cannot, if I'm doing something mindless, I can listen to an audiobook. But if I start going really hard in a workout, say it's really hard for 2 minutes, I can't tell you what happened in the audiobook the last 2 minutes. Like, I just can't tell you because I'm not listening to it anymore. I'm concentrating on something else. But have you listened to audiobooks during workouts? While
working out, I have, and I totally agree. It's really difficult. I don't think I've ever been able to master it, like just like you've been talking about. I think I've always had like the love. So I feel like me and General McChrystal have a lot in common.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to, like, I need to read more. I don't have the time, And if I can mesh two things that I need to do that are both productive together at the same time, then that's just a win-win all around, right? So I totally agree with the mindset, and I've tried to do it before, like dating back to riding the bike and reading books, like analog books. So
wait, you've tried riding a bike while reading a book?
Yeah, indoors, stationary.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I was about to say, I have no idea how that worked out.
Yeah, I used to do that. I used to do that all the time. But that's where it began, and then so I tried to. I think I tried to implement the audiobooks. I tried to implement them through all types of workouts, and probably a lot less often as you try to implement them for those more intense lifting type workouts. But I tried them much more often with runs, and they're okay with runs. But the problem is, like, since my body, I've probably been like Pavlov dogs. I've probably been trained to listen to whatever and then put it on and then not listen to it, basically, right? Put it on and just kind of let it
it's just in the
ease
background.
Me, right? So I think maybe since I trained myself to do that with something auditory, that it doesn't really work for me for that reason. But
Yeah, I think it must take a lot of training, because that even happens to me when I'm trying to listen to an audiobook in the car. I'll make it maybe like, say, 10 minutes on the drive or whatever, and then I'll realize, oh crap, I haven't been listening to this audiobook the last couple minutes.
yeah,
And, like,
I need to rewind.
You have to rewind. So yeah, it's maybe just this, maybe listening to music in general deconditions you to pay attention to what you're listening to.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, unless you're a cyborg like General McChrystal.
He is a cyborg, though. The dude ate like one meal a day, slept like 4 hours a night. He's like your typical hardcore commander, you know, like...
He's like RoboCop commander.
Yeah, he's like on par with Patton and stuff. So he's hardcore.
Well, I will say, you know, if audiobooks, if they don't work as well, try out podcasts. Try the Betterhumanology podcast.
Well, you know, interesting point. So I have actually tried both, because I was trying the audiobook thing for a while working out, and I was like, this isn't, you know, I can't do this. Like, it's not working. Maybe I just didn't make it past that barrier of finding it or making it work. But I can listen to podcasts a little bit better when I work out, and I think it's because the guests, the hosts or whatever, are normally a little more animated than the monotone, you know, like...
Reading,
Chapter 1. The boy walked into the, you know, like...
That's pretty good. We should have you record one. I'll probably buy that.
Hey, maybe I got a new career ahead of me. But yeah, so I do feel like podcasts are a little bit easier to listen to. Maybe I'm biased because we have a podcast, but I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I think maybe for one of these upcoming experiments, there's this podcast I think we should try. It's supposed to be able to put you to sleep pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know exactly which podcast you're talking about. It's the top of the health category in iTunes, and it's called what's it called? Come Sleep With Me or something like that.
Yeah, Sleep With Me podcast or something like that. And he's a funny character.
He's hilarious. And
so I'd love to see if it works.
Yeah, we can try that one out for sure. All right, I think that about covers it. One little bonus tip I want to give out to anyone who made it all the way to the end of the podcast is all the research I did on music. They tell you what kind of music to listen to. It may be helpful, it may not, but you're going to be wanting to listen to your music at around 70 to 80 decibels and anywhere from 120 to 145 beats per minute. So you can actually find music that has beat per minute and audible. Like your music might not fit in there, but you can Google that and find music in those tempo ranges that may help you in strength, endurance, and many different things. So that's a little bonus for those who made it to the end.
Little Betterhumanology pro tip there.
A little pro tip. All right. That's all I got. Tom, you got anything?
No, I don't. Thanks, everyone.
Peace.
Your best. Losers always whine about their best.